If you just hopped on the call, I'd mentioned this is our sales coordinator call kicking over right here at 8:30. And the cool thing is we have a couple special guests tonight. So first off, Jessica and I have decided to partner up and kind of get different perspectives, try and get different perspectives to our teams, because our teams are probably tired of hearing our perspective and want something new anyway. We always want something new. So we're just kind of mixing it up a little bit. And one of the things that we wanted to kick off this call with is actually having Courtney talk to us, because she just recently hit SSC for the Phoenix conference. So first off, congratulations, Courtney.
Yeah.
It was a huge feat. And so many of us who are sales coordinators on this call just know that it's such a huge feat to jump from sales coordinator to senior sales coordinator. There's a lot of different things that go into play. So we just want to start off the call with, how did you do it? How long have you been that sales coordinator? What did you do different? How did your perspective change maybe from sales coordinator to SSC? And maybe give us some of your wisdom, since you just hit it.
Thank you. Well, thanks for having me on the call, everybody. And it was super exciting to hit it. And I'll kind of guide you on what changed. And I've been sales coordinator since our conference in Sacramento, which was last April. So it's been about a year that I had been sales coordinator. And what happened was, when we hit September, I kind of knew going to Nashville that I wasn't going to make senior sales coordinator. So starting in September, I had my eyes on Phoenix. So
not to mention that Phoenix is your hometown.
Phoenix is my hometown, so I definitely wanted to walk the stage in Phoenix. And so we pretty much, we just knew that we were going to own Phoenix as a team. And so that's what we had our eyes set on, and that's what we had. And even our upline, Sarah Beardmore, a lot of you met her in Nashville. She made NMD back in January, so she had her eyes set on Phoenix as well, because she wanted to give her NMD speech in front of her family and her friends and all that. So as a team, from the top down, we really, really got to work starting in September, basically, which was really, really cool, because we each got on a call with Sarah individually, or like one of my team members with me and Sarah Beardmore. We would get on a call together, and it would be a Zoom chat, and we'd get on for about 30 minutes to an hour, just depending. And what we would do is we would go over, she would talk about what my goal is, and then we would talk about what my team member's goal was as well. Because for me, and I'm still getting over this, it's hard to tell my team what my goal is myself, because I don't want people to think, oh, okay, so you want us to work for you. I know that they will, because most people want to work for others. Like, they want to help me. Like, my team members totally wanted to help me, but they wanted to help me more than they wanted to help myself. But still, it was just kind of weird for me to be like, okay, this is my goal. Can you guys help me? So it was really good for my upline to get on there to let my team members know what my goal was, to kind of take that pressure off myself. So that's kind of a recommendation there. And it really did help. And then on those Zoom calls, we did get actually.
Well, and not only that, right? Like, your goal of shooting for SSC was helping her goal of NMD. So. Yeah. That is one of the things that I love about this business, is that we all help each other. You don't achieve anything by yourself usually in this business. It's all a team effort.
That is very true. Very true. And then basically every call we got to work. And so all of us had our customer genealogy reports out at that time, and she made all of us go through that customer genealogy, and she asked us, who have you not told about the business yet? And she would make us tell a story about who this person is, are they loving the product, etc. So then she gave us a little bit of a text wording, and we started texting these people about the business right away. And then so that really got us into action mode starting in September. So that's how we kind of did our daily method of operations, our weekly method of operations for the next couple months. And then we had our upline NMD from Canada, you know her, Nicole Scott. She came into town, and she is she had just gotten some training from Lauren Slocum, and everybody knows Lauren Slocum and how awesome she is. And when Nicole Scott came into town, she did a small advanced training here at my house, and she went over the hashtag AEAE, which is all excuses are equal. And so that kind of really stuck in my head. Like, we are not, like, every excuse is equal, whether it's you work too much or whether you have to go and to your kid's softball game or whatever it may be, all excuses are equal. And yeah, we have to have some kind of balanced life, but like Jessica said in the last training, it has to be intentional. So I had to start working about 55 hours a week for my job. And so I knew that I had to be intentional and start really planning around my 55 hours a week. And so when that came, she another thing that Nicole did after she had talked about all excuses are equal, which really stuck in my head, she also talked about fathering your distributors, not mothering them. And I was super guilty of mothering my distributors because they're all my friends, right? And I didn't want to be like super forceful with them. I didn't want to be like the biatch that I could be, or, you know, I didn't want to be bitchy. And so here I was being like, okay, what kind of like what Jessica went through in the last session was no, it was not Jessica, it was Lindsay. Lindsay went through our whys and write it down. And, you know, so basically I started asking people, well, not remind me of what your why is, because I always wrote their whys down as well. And I would go over their whys with them and why they got into this business, and just reminded them, hey, doing 3 hours a week is not going to get you to your why. You know, let's get to work here. And that started actually getting people to work. So fathering them versus mothering them has definitely helped. And Nicole shared with us that Michelle Ball in Canada, she went from like a 12 club to a 75 club in 6 months by starting to father her distributors and instead of mothering. So it, you know, the proof is there that it definitely works. Another thing that we did when we started gunning Sarah for NMD in January is that all of our team got on a Voxer. And we knew that we had like 3,000 points to get in 4 days. So what we did is we all got on a Voxer together, and we would all be so excited when we got an order, or we got a shake order, we got a paid in full tower garden, or this is working, this isn't working, you know? So we had all of our energy on Voxer. Everybody could hear our voices, and everybody really, really wanted to be involved with that. And then they wanted to be able to share their successes as well. So I definitely recommend Voxer to everybody, and the energy and the voices on there can just do so much. And so when I was going for SSC, I had to get 3,500 points in a week. We did the same thing. So my team got on there with my upline, and so my upline was there encouraging us as well. And so we would same thing. We would congratulate each other on everybody's orders. We would really just, just let everybody know what was working. And so we made it, we made 4,000 points in a week versus the 3,500 that we needed, which was fantastic. Everybody just really came together. We had team chemistry, and we had this awesome team energy. And with that, everybody else below me on my team got their promotions that they were looking for as well by doing this for me too. So that was pretty much what we did, and that's how we did it. And I think that it's definitely doable, and just the energy of team chemistry really, really works. So did I miss anything that maybe we talked about earlier?
No, I think you hit the nail right on the head. I guess my question is, like, from your mindset of SC, because if you're on this call, you're an SC. Mm-hmm. And if you're an SC, you're on this call because you want to get to SSC, right? So everybody is in those shoes, like where you were at in September. So in September, you had just made a mind switch. It's not that it wasn't achievable for Nashville, right? It was that you had just kind of made up your mind it wasn't going to happen, right? Yeah. So let me ask you this, when you made up your mind of, hey, I'm doing SSC, this is happening, and you started to put some intentional effort into your business, like I'm sure like you just felt that energy grow. It's like watching the spark go to a flame, go to a campfire, to a wildfire, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, and do you think that has anything to do with your mindset and where your head was at?
Yes, it definitely had probably 95% to do with my mindset and where my head was at, because I had been going to Image for probably a few months before that. But when I really started to be in the room with Image and do affirmations and really just kind of go forward with my thinking and not go backwards with my thinking, then it really did help quite a bit. And I knew that when we were working for things would fall into place. Like I was telling Lindsay a little bit earlier, is that I needed a 3 club. And I knew that I would achieve a 3 club by the end of February, but somehow out of the woodworks, somebody came and I achieved a 4 club. Like it just happened all of a sudden. So I know that the mindset definitely had something to do with that. And then we had more than 500 points over what we needed to achieve it as well. And then we had more team members than we needed, as also on my second VF line. On our second VF line, we needed 6 working distributors. We ended up with 9. And a week earlier, we only had 4. So for some reason, like it turned out we had 5 extra distributors under this line in a week, which turned out, I don't know how it happened. It just happens when you set your mind to it. So
Does that interest anybody, having 5 extra distributors? I think that's great. Well, very cool. Well, we just thank you for, sharing your experience with us and what that mindset switch has done. And I've seen so many people on my team. I mean, Kristen, I've seen your mindset switch big time from like, well, how do I, to just doing it, right? And Kaylee, you have just been a spark recently. Just you went from feeling kind of stuck to freak, you're signing up in Anytime Fitness. You called me today. So you're having a gym on your team. Like, how cool, right? And sometimes it just takes a couple hours of being intentional and going to work. And, Ken and I were intentional today, and I went up to Brighton and helped him prospect today. And heck, we ended up having lunch with a stranger. I mean, you never know what'll happen. And a couple gym prospects, right? A couple meetings set up, all from spending a couple hours being intentional. So no matter what you're doing, whether you're eating lunch, you're actually going into gyms prospecting, whatever, it does start to fall into place when you have that spark lit. So Jess, do you have anything to add to all this?
Well, Courtney, I would love for myself and as well as other people on this call for you to just expand on the fathering versus the mothering, because I think that's something when you're starting to develop a team and you're starting this leadership role, that it can be a challenge. My background is in athletics, and I was always a team captain, and I was very physically inspiring, emotionally, physically, the leader. And there is, of course, some inspiration. You have to be inspired to do well in this business. You have to be inspired. And it has to come from within. I mean, I think energy and stuff from a team can contribute to that. But that's always been a challenge for me to we can't whip the workers, it's, and that is in me, let me tell you. But I try to save that for my children. And I would just love for you to just dissect that a little bit more, if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's a great question, Jessica, because when Nicole was here, I had to actually ask her that same thing. And I actually wrote notes, and here they are. It says, mothering is buying into their story. It's okay that you can't come to conference, or it's okay that you couldn't do this or you couldn't do that. It's okay because I understand. And so that's basically just buying into their story. And fathering is like, oh, stop right there. I have your why right here, and this is what you said. I am not accepting your story. So that's what she was saying.
Okay.
Yes. So I hope that helps too.
I like it.
Yeah.
You're saying basically everyone on my team needs to go see him and not me. No, I'm just kidding.
Send them to the guys.
Yeah, I think it would be better with the guy.
Well, it goes back to that all excuses are equal, right? We all have the same things going on. We all, most of the time, have children to care for, financial burdens, taxes coming up, all of this, right? That we can't maybe set aside the money for airline ticket. I mean, there's so many excuses around Phoenix, but the bottom line is if you want your business to grow, you have to get there. It doesn't matter what it takes. And I had said this on our call last week. Like, I don't care if you got to quit your job, put your child in daycare, bring them. I don't care. Sleep on the floor, sleep in your car, drive. However you want to get there, however you want to do it, get there, because it makes all the difference in the world, no matter where you're at in this business, to go and to get re-inspired and to get that spark into a wildfire again.
Hey, Lindsay,
No matter where you're at in the business.
Lindsay, this is Jeff. I want everyone to just imagine for a second that you're not going to conference for whatever reason. And then I'm going to ask you to then imagine that tomorrow morning you go out in the world and you meet someone and you get into conversation with them, and you're not planning on going to conference, but they immediately take to what you're doing and they are curious, and the next day after that they get on T30 and then they find out that there's a business behind it, and then they find out there's Phoenix next week and they want to go to conference. Now the question is if you had someone like that was that fired up, that wanted to go to conference, that you just met and you were not planning on going to conference, would you then consider, or would you then say, hey, you know what? I've got someone to go with now. I'm going to go to conference. And if you just play that out in your head, I'm not going to conference, and then all of a sudden I got one or two people going to conference. Every time I ask that question to people, about 100% of the time people would say, yeah, I would then go to conference. And so my fatherly counsel back to them is, what you're telling me is you're wanting someone else to make a commitment before you make one. So providence shifts when you choose to step into, a decision and you own it. Providence shifts when you kind of lead yourself based on your intuition into something you feel is right, and you're going to come to that conference, and then your intellect is going to be empowered, and it's going to serve what you sort of knew intuitively that you should be doing. So, the counsel or the fatherly counsel is, providence shifts when you make a commitment. So if you're not committed to conference yet, there's some food for thought.
Absolutely.
And I would just encourage you guys, speaking from a woman who, like Lindsay said, I love, by the way, hashtag AEAE. Are you kidding? I have not heard that. That is totally new for me. But every excuse is valid. And I totally love that distinction too of okay, I understand, and buying into that story where it's like, no, here's your why. I'm not buying it. And, it's so hard to put into words, just like we have to take action yourself. Like, we have to be accountable to our own self, right? And be like, somebody's going to do this. Why not me? Right? And if you don't feel comfortable in the skills, we have more reading for you, and of course, as Jeff and others say, the best way to start developing your skill is just get out there, get out of your way, and just start talking to people and just start doing, right? Mindset is huge, and I so appreciate that, Courtney. And for me, I think that that has been kind of an eye-opening the last year or so for me. I kind of thought that the mindset would come as I did this business, instead of doing the mindset work first and then results taking place. It's what is your thing you say about the chicken and
when it comes to the ham and egg sandwich, the chicken is involved, but the pig is committed.
So the question is, are you the chicken or the pig? Are you involved or committed? And committed, all committed means is that you are going to impact more lives. You are going to impact your own life, your spouse if you're married, your children. And I mean, like, why not commit? Things happen, as Jeff says, providence shifts if you're committed. And and it feels better, and the energy is different on the committal side, right? So, final thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, Kaylee, may I use you as an example? So and I've just seen such a shift in you that it's just cool. I mean, you've had this mindset shift within this past month that Courtney's talking about, right? So what did it feel like to be committed last week when we went out and we went prospecting together? And we made the commitment to go and to spend 3 hours just to see what could happen. We were fully committed every place we went. We started at a coffee shop. Like, walk us through that day and what happened as the day progressed and what did it lead to today, a week later? Like, can you just walk us through that? Because that's the excitement that keeps this business going, that keeps you excited and is so fun. So we started off at a coffee shop, right?
Right. So we went to the coffee shop first because we actually had talked to a lady before, or I had talked to a lady the week before about Juice Plus, and I lost her information, so I wanted to go back and get it. But she wasn't there, so we talked to the barista, got his information. He was this 2-degree nutrition guru, and so we got his information and a cup of coffee. We walked next door to a hair salon, talked to the manager there. They were setting up for the next week to have 2 salons were going to come together, and they were going to have a talk, and so we offered to do a nutrition talk. So we got her information to follow up with her after she confirmed with her boss we could do it. We then went to an Anytime Fitness, got the owner, talked to the owner. He was pretty interested, but wanted to talk to his folks to see if they were wanted to sit down and do a meeting. So we got his information and a meeting scheduled to follow up with him the next week. And then we had gone
with his
trainers. Yep. And then we went to another gym and talked with that owner, and he was like over the moon excited and very interested in talking with us. And we got another scheduled meeting with him. So we went last week. We went and talked with him, and luckily Doug was in town, so we talked and sat with him. We had a 2-hour meeting about the business, and then today he just told me he's going to sign up his gym and be on the team, which is phenomenal.
Awesome, Kaylee. That's awesome.
How many hours did you invest in that particular experience?
Well, I guess maybe 3 or 4 hours with that one gym.
3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
Of intentional work.
Right.
Landed you a gym on your team.
Right. Who's going to do things. Like, he's so passionate and excited about it.
So, I mean, and that switch is so different from, I mean, even the week prior, we had sat down at that coffee shop, at the same coffee shop, and we were going to do prospecting, but we wanted to do it online because that was more comfortable. Whatever, we got a lot done that day, but it wasn't quite as intentional, right?
Right.
So, I mean, just know you put the time in, and one of the activities we did on the VF call, if you weren't on there, is what is your why? Why do you do this business? Second, what is it financially that you would need to make with this business in order to solidify your why, in order to stay at home with your kiddos, in order to quit your job, in order to whatever your why is, right? And the third one is if your why could line up with that financial gain, how many hours are you willing to put into this to make that happen? How many hours are you willing to put in to get a gym on your team? I mean, 4 hours? Is anybody willing to put in 4 hours to get a gym on the team? I am, right? So to be intentional, Courtney and I were talking earlier, you can set the GPS up, right? you can set the GPS up to go to NMD. Okay? If you never get in the car and turn the key to start that process of driving to get to NMD, your GPS will continually stay at NMD, but you have to do the steps in order to get there, like being intentional.
Lauren has another hashtag similar for that. It's Goya, hashtag Goya, get off your ass. So that's another one too.
All right. We're going to have some new hashtags. People are going to be confused on Facebook tomorrow.
Yeah. And with that mothering and fathering thing, you may lose people, she says, but you'll keep the people that want to work. So kind of keep that in mind too.
Yeah, that's one point of freedom of what we do is this business is not for everyone. It's not. And there's a freedom in knowing that, so I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Absolutely.
Well, peeps, 9 o'clock. Is that a wrap? So appreciate your time, Courtney. Thanks for coming and sharing with us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Any final questions, comments, thoughts?
I just have one little thought, can I say? Definitely work with the workers, but love the people who do a little on your team too, because that is, you never know, they may come around down the road, but their little bit of contribution, you want to love and appreciate those people too, but then you invest your time and effort and lock arms with the workers.
Absolutely.
Oh, that was the mama. I should have let the daddy speak. Darn it.
I will say to finish on that note, Tony, of course, and that's your heart. And I will always think of that. That's a Wendy Campbell. I always think of Wendy Campbell. Love them where they're at. But I think that's where we go back to the communication is huge. Like as an SC, if you are not communicating with your team, when I first sign somebody up, I ask, what is your why? Why are you doing this? Because I want to support you for what your why is. If you want to pay for your product or if you want to, a couple $100 a month, then that's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you how to do that. And of course, that can evolve and change. Lindsay started off with wanting to pay for a product. I started off wanting to pay for my product. And so if you are communicating, then that shouldn't be hard to distinguish. You're going to figure out and who you can be a father to.
Well, absolutely. And you work your business like a chess game. You make a move and they make a move. So you love those people, but you know their why, and you don't invest a lot of your time and energy in them if they don't have a big why. You just love them where they're at and then work with the workers.
Awesome.
Love everybody's wisdom. I think it was great to combine this call and to invite Courtney to join, and Kristen, you're always a delight to have on, and absolutely. So the more the merrier. I think we'll keep these calls at the same time, same place next week, and we'll kind of come back together and see if our whys have gotten stronger and see what transpires throughout the week of being intentional. So that's my challenge, is take what we've talked about tonight and go and be intentional with your 4 hours of time, or whatever time you jotted down on that piece of paper that you're willing to put in. Let's put a schedule behind those hours and see what being intentional behind our business can do for us. Not just Facebooking for an hour and seeing what can happen. Some good things can happen from Facebook too, but being intentional, knocking on doors, stepping out of your comfort zone, and we'll reconvene next week and kind of hear from you guys, how this changed your business. Maybe you'll have a story like Kaylee's. That would be great. So with that being said, have a good night, guys. And this will be recorded